Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The sun was setting behind the city's glittering skyscrapers, casting long shadows across the park where Alex Reynolds, CEO of a multimillion-dollar company, was playing absent-mindedly with his little girl, Lily. The light breeze made her blonde hair dance, and the girl's crystalline laughter echoed like soft music. Alex, exhausted from an endless day of meetings, contracts, and negotiations, savored these few stolen moments. He knelt down to adjust Lily's shoelaces, a tired smile on his lips. "Daddy. Daddy," the little girl whispered, her clear eyes suddenly filled with a worry Alex didn't know she had. "Yes, my angel," he replied, thinking it was an innocent request for candy or a new toy. But Lily's voice was trembling, choked with an emotion he didn't yet understand. "Dad. Mom is in court." The words fell like a clap of thunder on Alex's heart. The world around him seemed to stand still. The laughter of the children on the playground, the crunch of leaves underfoot, everything became distant, almost unreal. What?" he stammered, unable to mask the rising panic. Lily nodded, her small hands gripping his with silent urgency. "Yes, she said she had to go, and that you couldn't stop her." Alex felt his stomach clench. Images raced through his mind, legal cases, harsh judges, life-changing decisions, his own, Lily's, and his wife's. He'd never imagined he'd be faced with such a ruthless situation, especially through the innocent eyes of his daughter. Without thinking, he took Lily's hand and whispered, "Okay, sweetheart, we'll sort this out. I'll take care of everything." But in his soul, a dull fear persisted. What would he discover in court, and who would really be in danger that day? Alex Reynolds sat in his glass-enclosed office on the 42nd floor of his building, staring out at the city below. His phone vibrated abruptly on the leather of his desk. The name on the display made him shiver. "Lily." "Dad," whispered his daughter's frail voice. "Lily? What's going on?" he asked, already worried. "Dad. Mom is in court. I don't know what to do." Alex felt her heart sink. "Stay calm, sweetie. Tell me exactly where you are." Lily explained that she was at daycare, but her teacher had told her her mother had been taken to court for an urgent matter. Alex stood up quickly, knocking papers onto his desk. His mind was racing. Why would his wife, Emily, be in court? And why hadn't anyone warned him? Without wasting a second, he grabbed his keys and coat and rushed to his car. Every red light seemed like an eternity, every passenger on the sidewalk a distraction in his suddenly fragile world. Arriving in court, Alex saw Emily through the glass of the courtroom. She was alone, sitting upright on the bench, her hands clutching her bag. Her gaze met Alex's, and a mixture of relief and worry crossed her eyes. Before he could even enter, a bailiff approached. "Mr. Reynolds? You can't come in now. This is a private matter." Alex felt his blood boil. "Private? Emily is my wife," he protested. But Lily, who was standing next to him, pulled at his hand, her eyes full of tears. "Dad. Mom told me to wait for you." At that moment, Alex realized that this case wasn't just legal, it was going to turn his entire life, and his family's, upside down. He took a deep breath and whispered, "Very well, then we'll understand what's going on." Behind this facade of power and wealth, Alex felt powerless for the first time. The courthouse wasn't an office he could control, it was a labyrinth of injustice, and he would have to enter it to protect his family. Alex held Lily's hand as they approached the courthouse, her heart pounding. The building's imposing facade seemed colder and more intimidating than ever. The marble columns, uniformed guards, and massive doors gave off a sense of inaccessibility. "Dad," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "I just want Mom to come back." Alex bent down to smile at her, trying to mask his own fear. "I'll make sure she comes back, Angel. I promise." Once inside, they were confronted by a stream of suited employees and rushing lawyers. Alex tried to speak to the bailiff, but he shook his head. "Mr. Reynolds, I understand your concern, but this is a private audience. No one may enter." Alex felt his frustration rising, but he knew he had to keep his cool. He pulled out his phone and called his personal assistant. "Mark, I want to know everything about this case." "Everything? Who sued Emily and why?" A few minutes later, Mark called back, his voice deep and worried. "Alex, it's complicated. It seems that Emily is involved in a dispute with her brother's company. It's a delicate matter, and she didn't want to talk to you about it to protect you." Alex gritted his teeth. His brother? But why now? Meanwhile, Emily sat in the courtroom, watching the opposing lawyer closely. She knew Alex would come, but she didn't want him to rush in without knowing the facts. She knew the verdict could change all of their lives. Outside, Alex turned to Lily. "Listen, sweetie. I'm going to figure out what's going on, and I'm going to help Mom. You stay here with Mark for now." But Lily shook her head determinedly. "No. I want to stay with you, Dad. She needs you." Alex took her in his arms, squeezing her tight. "Okay, we'll stay together. But remember, we have to be careful." Inside, the courtroom suddenly seemed darker, more threatening. Every step Alex took brought him closer to the truth, but also to the danger he still didn't know existed. He felt that today was only the beginning of a battle that could change his family forever. The courtroom was silent, almost stifling. Alex finally walked through the main doors, escorted by a bailiff who, this time, seemed to acknowledge his authority and insistence. Lily, still in his arms, looked at him with eyes full of concern and curiosity. Emily looked up as Alex entered, a thin smile appearing on her tired face. She looked relieved and tense at the same time. Alex stepped toward her, the words catching in his throat. "Emily, why didn't you tell me?" She shook her head gently. "Alex, I wanted to protect you. What you're about to hear here, it's not simple." The opposing lawyer then stood up, a man in a dark suit with a hard look. "Ms. Reynolds is accused of participating in a questionable financial transaction involving the family business. We have evidence to suggest she may have embezzled funds." Alex felt the ground give way beneath his feet. Embezzled funds? "Emily," he stared at his wife, who remained impressively calm despite the public accusation. "It's not true," Emily exclaimed, her voice firm but controlled. "I was framed, manipulated by my own brother. He wanted to discredit me to take control of the family business." Alex felt his blood boil. His hand clasped Emily's under the table. He knew she was telling the truth. He had known his wife's honest and upright character since the first day they met. Lily, sensing the tension, slipped her small hand into Alex's and whispered, "Dad. Mom needs you." A shudder ran through Alex. He realized that this wasn't just a legal battle, but a fight to protect his family and his name. The opposing lawyer continued his accusations, but Alex, standing behind Emily, felt a courage he hadn't known he possessed before. He knew that to defend his wife, he would have to delve into a legal world he had never explored, confront powerful enemies, and uncover the truth behind each case. As the judge banged his gavel to call for order, Alex whispered to Emily, "Don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt you." And in that moment, he knew his life had changed forever. The fight had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. After the hearing, Alex and Emily left the courthouse, but the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Lily walked beside them, silent, her small face serious for her age. In the car, Alex turned his gaze to his wife. "Emily. I want to know everything. Every detail, every conversation, every document. I want to understand what's going on." Emily sighed, fatigue visible on her features. "Alex, my brother has always been ambitious, but he crossed the line this time. He falsified documents to make it appear that I had handled funds. I tried to stop him, but he had already prepared everything." Alex felt his anger rising, but he knew he had to stay strategic. He pulled out his phone and called his best lawyer, a financial litigation expert, Michael Harper. "Michael, this is urgent. Emily is wrongly accused. I need you immediately to review every transaction in her family business." Meanwhile, Emily showed Alex a file she had secretly kept. Statements, contracts, email exchanges, everything seemed to point to a frame-up. "This is what I was able to recover without my brother noticing. But there are things I couldn't get." Alex took the file and examined it carefully. His analytical mind kicked into gear. Every number, every signature, every date could reveal the truth. He knew he had to act quickly before the trial took an irreversible turn. "We're going to get to the source," Alex said determinedly. "And trust me, no one will frame my family with impunity." That night, back home, Alex spent hours combing through the documents, questioning Emily about every detail. He sensed the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just about defending his wife, but about thwarting a meticulously planned plan by a man willing to do anything to get what he wanted. In the shadows, Emily's brother-in-law continued his schemes, believing no one would discover his forgeries. But Alex, with his determination, resources, and love for his family, was now an obstacle he hadn't anticipated. As Lily fell asleep in the living room, exhausted from the day of revelations, Alex looked at Emily and whispered, "Tomorrow we begin our real battle. Together." And for the first time since the beginning of this ordeal, he felt a glimmer of hope. The next morning, Alex entered his office, determined as ever. The large windows let in sunlight, but it wasn't enough to dispel the shadow of injustice hanging over his family. At his side, Michael Harper, his lawyer, stood ready to review the documents Emily had gathered. "Alex," Michael said, scanning the records, "it's not just a matter of falsified numbers. Your brother-in-law orchestrated a real trap. He anticipated every move, every action. But there are loopholes, here and here, where the signatures are questionable." Alex nodded. Every detail counted. "We can't just prove that he falsified documents. We have to go back to the origin of his actions and show his intent. If we can do that, the court will have no choice but to rule in my favor." Meanwhile, Emily watched silently. She was relieved to see Alex regain control of the situation, but she knew this battle would be long and trying. "Lily," Alex said, looking at his daughter. "I'm going to need your help to stay focused," he whispered with a tender smile. "You're my little guide to courage, okay?" The little girl burst out laughing, and for a moment, the tension dissipated. Alex and Michael began compiling a list of everyone involved in the suspicious transactions: accountants, former employees, financial partners. They decided to conduct interviews, collecting every email, every receipt, every message that could prove Emily's brother-in-law had orchestrated everything. But Alex knew he also had to protect his family. He hired a security expert to monitor the family office and ensure no one would try to steal or tamper with other documents. That evening, Alex found himself in the living room again, this time with Emily and Lily. "Tomorrow we begin the field investigation," he announced. "Every piece of this puzzle will be examined. And believe me, we will find the evidence that will bring down your brother." Emily nodded, a mixture of fear and hope in her eyes. Lily, clutching her father, whispered, "Dad, you're going to win for Mom, right?" Alex hugged her, his heart swelling with determination. "Yes, my angel. We will win. Together." At that precise moment, in the shadow of his family's skyscraper, Alex knew the battle was only just beginning. But to protect his family, he was prepared to do anything, and he would spare no effort to set the record straight. The next morning, Alex and Michael went to the financial district where several former employees and partners of the family business still worked. Each person they interviewed represented a piece of the puzzle Emily's brother-in-law had tried to hide. The first contact was with Jenna Clark, a former accountant who had left the company a few months earlier. She had witnessed some questionable transactions, but was afraid to testify against the Reynolds family. Alex reassured her gently and authoritatively. "Jenna, I'm not here to hurt you. I just want the truth to come out. Any evidence you can provide can help Emily and protect our family." After a long silence, Jenna relented and pulled out copies of emails and financial statements. Each document seemed to directly incriminate Emily's brother. Alex felt her heart beat faster. The truth was beginning to emerge. Later that day, they met with a longtime financial partner, Mr. Donovan, an influential man who knew all about the inside jobs. He eyed Alex suspiciously before speaking. "You must be careful. Your brother-in-law has allies everywhere. If you reveal everything too quickly, he could destroy the evidence and accuse your wife of even more serious offenses." Alex nodded, understanding that this battle would be far more complex than he had imagined. But each new piece of information strengthened his resolve. Meanwhile, Emily worked at home with Lily, trying to stay strong for her daughter. She knew Alex's courage and determination were their greatest weapon. Every discovery brought the family closer to an unexpected turnaround. That evening, back at the office, Alex spread out all the evidence on the table. Michael examined every document, every signature, every message. "Alex," he said finally, "if we put everything together correctly, we can prove not only Emily's innocence, but also your brother-in-law's direct guilt. He'll have no escape." Alex looked at Emily and Lily, a mixture of fatigue and hope in her eyes. "Tomorrow, we begin preparing our counterattack. It's time for justice to be done." In the shadows of the city, Alex knew the legal battle ahead would be difficult, but he was ready. For Emily, for Lily, he would accept no compromise. The next morning, Alex woke up before dawn, his mind racing. Every piece of evidence collected, every document, every testimony would be crucial to the legal battle. Michael Harper had already prepared a solid case, but Alex knew the hardest part would be the direct confrontation with Emily's brother-in-law. In the courtroom, the air seemed charged with electricity. Alex felt Lily squeeze his hand, and Emily placed her hand on her husband's shoulder, a silent gesture of support. When Emily's brother-in-law appeared, his arrogance was palpable. He didn't yet know that the ruling party had just changed sides. "Alex," he said with a sarcastic smile. "I see you came to play the hero, but you're late." "No," Alex replied calmly, "I'm just in time for the truth. And believe me, it's going to catch up with you." The judge entered, and the hearing began. Michael immediately took the floor, presenting the first documents he had collected: forged emails, manipulated financial statements, and testimonies from former employees. Every piece of evidence seemed to point directly to Emily's brother-in-law. The man paled slightly when he saw the documents. He realized that his meticulous plan was beginning to crumble. "You see, Judge," Alex explained, stepping forward, "my brother-in-law orchestrated this scheme to discredit Emily and take control of the family business. But every action he took left traces, and we found them all." The court fell silent. Even the opposing lawyer couldn't ignore the strength of the evidence. Emily, her eyes fixed on Alex, felt an immense sense of relief. For the first time since this ordeal began, she felt as if justice might truly prevail. The judge banged his gavel and declared, "We will examine this evidence thoroughly. But what we see so far is already extremely worrying." Alex felt a weight lift from his shoulders, but he knew the fight wasn't over. He had won an initial strategic victory, but the trial would continue, and his brother-in-law wouldn't give up easily. As they left the courthouse, Lily ran into her mother's arms, and Emily whispered, "Thank you, Alex. I couldn't have gotten through this without you." Alex smiled, hugging his family. "This is just the beginning, but together we will overcome everything." And in his mind, he knew the next step would be to unveil the final proof that would definitively put an end to his brother-in-law's manipulations. Alex spent the night reviewing all the documents and testimonies he'd collected. Every detail had to be perfectly ordered to get to the heart of his brother-in-law's plot. He knew the key to the trial lay in a single piece of evidence, an email sent by Emily's brother to a former accountant, in which he explicitly ordered transactions to be falsified. When morning came, Alex, Emily, and Michael arrived at the courthouse early. The atmosphere was tense, but Alex felt prepared. He had studied every possible argument from the opposing counsel and prepared responses to each attack. When the hearing began, Michael presented the initial evidence, and the judge listened attentively. Then Alex stood up. "Your Honor, if I may, there is crucial evidence that we have not yet shown." He pulled out his phone and projected the email onto the courtroom screen. The words were clear and irrefutable. Emily's brother was giving precise instructions to falsify documents and frame Emily. A heavy silence fell over the room. Emily's brother-in-law paled, unable to come up with an excuse. His arrogance was gone, replaced by panic. The judge leaned forward. "This is extremely serious evidence. Mr. Reynolds, can you confirm its authenticity?" Alex nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. This email was retrieved by a computer security expert, and its authenticity has been verified. It proves beyond a doubt that my brother-in-law orchestrated this scheme." Emily felt an immense sense of relief. She squeezed Alex's hand, her eyes shining with gratitude. Lily, at her side, seemed to understand that the danger was almost over. The judge banged his gavel. "After reviewing the evidence and documents presented, it is clear that Ms. Reynolds was the victim of fraud orchestrated by her brother. We are staying all charges against her and ordering a thorough investigation into the brother." Alex took a deep breath. For the first time since this ordeal began, he felt that justice had triumphed. As they left the courthouse, Emily kissed her daughter, then looked at Alex with emotion-filled eyes. "Thank you, for everything." Alex hugged her, his heart filled with pride and relief. "It's over, for now. But one thing is certain, as long as we remain united, no one can tear us apart." Lily ran ahead of them, laughing out loud. The sun was finally shining on the Reynolds family, and for Alex, this day would forever be remembered as the day he protected what he loved most. The days following Emily's court victory were intense. The case had made the rounds of the financial district and the local media, and Emily's brother's reputation was rapidly crumbling. Investors, partners, and employees who had been unaware of his manipulations were beginning to turn away from him. Alex, Emily, and Lily slowly returned to more normal lives, but Alex knew the battle wasn't completely over. Emily's brother-in-law was facing a full investigation and could be prosecuted for fraud and manipulation. One morning, Alex received a call from Michael. "Alex, the investigation is moving quickly. The evidence is strong, and the prosecutor is considering charging your brother-in-law with fraud and attempted witness tampering." Alex smiled, but his voice was firm. "Very well. But what I want most is for our family to be protected and for no one to be able to harm us in the future." Emily, for her part, was beginning to regain her confidence. She was taking over the family business, and the ordeal had strengthened her bond with Alex and Lily. She realized that their family was now closer than ever. Lily, innocent but attentive, observed everything with her sparkling eyes. One day, she asked, "Dad, will Mom always win against the bad guys?" Alex took her in his arms and smiled. "Yes, my angel. As long as we stay united, we will always win." In the shadows, Emily's brother slowly understood the extent of his defeat. His allies had abandoned him, and justice was inexorably approaching. For the first time, he found himself alone facing the consequences of his actions. Alex, for his part, felt a mixture of satisfaction and alertness. This victory had been difficult, but it had proven one thing: with courage, determination, and unity, no obstacle, however powerful, could destroy a family fighting together. A few weeks after the court victory, the Reynolds' lives returned to normal, but this time with a new depth and renewed gratitude. The family business, under Emily's leadership and with Alex's support, was thriving again, and the family's reputation was intact. Lily ran through the garden, her clear, joyful laughter filling the house. Alex and Emily watched her from the deck, a sense of peace finally enveloping them. The trials they'd been through had strengthened their bond, and each understood that their family was now invincible in the face of adversity. One day, Alex looked at Emily, his eyes shining. "You know, this ordeal could have destroyed us. But instead, it made us stronger." Emily smiled, placing her hand on Alex's. Yes, and we know now that, no matter the obstacles, as long as we remain united, nothing can separate us. Meanwhile, Emily's brother faced the legal consequences of his actions. His arrogance was gone, replaced by fear and loneliness. Justice had prevailed, and truth had triumphed. Alex, watching his family reunite, felt an immense weight lift from his shoulders. He had protected what mattered most to him, Emily, Lily, and their future together. Lily ran towards them, jumping into her father and mother's arms. "Dad. Mom. I'm glad it's all over." Alex hugged her, a proud smile on his lips. "Yes, my angel. It's all over, and everything will always be fine, as long as we stay together." The sun was setting over the Reynolds home, illuminating the family with a golden glow. For Alex, Emily, and Lily, this light symbolized the end of a storm and the beginning of a peaceful future built on love, trust, and justice. And so the Reynolds family entered a new era, ready to face life with courage and unity, knowing that nothing and no one could break their bond.